नाम खत्म हो गया। विराट और कौशिक का पहले से रसी हुई। वे कौन सा करेंगे?
So they will do behind different moments. Okay, what do you know about tsunami?
Weathering is coming in summer.
Yes.
All. And tsunami is the tsunami. I mean, उसमें फ्लड होता है फ्लड। पानी घर तक आ जाता है। It is for tsunami. It's no weather. And what is tsunami? देखते हैं क्या हो गया। Tsunami. The cyclone is tsunami, na?
No.
है? हम अपना tsunami बोल रहे हैं।
I know, I said tsunami, but it's not tsunami. These are the
1999.
Yeah. Bye bye. How would they say? And you will save food.
About
And last time you got
20.
how much?
25.
This is the 80 mark?
Yes.
Now this is how does this one work. This is like actual 1999. Why do you want this? Why do you want to this one? See Hindi, okay, see. This is the actual visual which happened on the previous one. Yes, you're going to do this now.
Weathering is now.
Weathering the storm. Look at that. Look at the houses. 10,000 people dead. 3 lakhs houses were destroyed. No food to eat. And 25 lakhs for maroon. Maroon means there was no help given to them. Because better to reach there should be roads. And look at the condition. This is the condition, actual condition for there. This is how they left the state.
Now it's
What are you having? How do you think it is going to be there? See, this is their water. And all it was rotten.
and my helicopter.
Helicopter is provided help, but help also shelter on that tree. Rest of the family shelter in the water. They didn't even have clothes to wear. And did not get food to eat for many days because helicopter took them that time took them long time to reach. And they were marooned. This is an island and it is surrounded by water. This help could be sent to them. Understood?
Which lesson?
Weathering one. Chapter 6.
See here. This is a tropical cyclone water. Let us stop. House. Eight thousand villages were destroyed. 7 lakh. 2,75,000 homes destroyed. Okay, understood. That's the story we're going to read.
Mumbai का 2000 को हुआ था.
Right.
25.
So we are doing moments. We are doing weathering the storm of Asama. Read.
On 27 October
The AC is working. What?
हाँ.
Not.
Okay, नहीं.
Please switch it off. Is it working?
Yes.
Then you increase the speed.
बस.
Yeah, that's enough.
Switch on this.
You are feeling hot today. You might as well not smoke.
On 27 October 1999,
No, start from always from
the cyclone that hit Orissa in October 1999 killed thousands of people and devastated hundreds of
devastated.
for two dreadful nights.
Devastated.
Hundreds of villages.
Devastated.
Nearly
That's okay, but pronunciation is devastated.
devastated hundreds of villages from
One.
For two dreadful nights.
for two dreadful nights. Prashant, a young man, was marooned
Maroon.
on the roof of a house.
Maroon in the sense is he's sitting on the roof of the house and everywhere it is water, water, water. So That is called maroon. When you are surrounded by water and you don't have any place to move out, that is called maroon. So when you say marooned on an island, island means the island is surrounded by water and you are all alone on that island. Understood that?
On the third day, he decided to go to his village. Did he find his family?
Yeah, it is also, it's like, it's basically, if you see the tragedy what happened, I showed you the tragedy which happened. If you want to get over something, then please, you get over your sorrow, you have to start helping others. This is the theme of this story. Okay? You can't, it's actually service to mankind is a best healer. Why? Because you also suffering, the other person also suffering, but if you help the other person, you have a tendency to forget your own suffering, right? It makes you feel good, and that's why you should have courage. See, something tragedies happen. Life is like that. Tragedy will happen, but you have to have the courage to face that tragedy. This story is all about that. How they were courageous and how they, like Prashant especially, he helped the whole villagers. Okay, the story is revolving around him. Right?
On 27 October 1999, 7 years after his mother's death, Prashant had gone to the block headquarters of a small town in coastal Orissa, some 18 kilometers from his village, to spend the day with a friend. In the evening, a dark and menacing storm quickly gathered. Winds beat against the house with a speed and fury that Prashant had never witnessed before. Heavy and incessant rain filled the darkness. Ancient trees were uprooted and crashed to the earth.
Yes. Stop. So I just showed you. You didn't bring your book.
Yeah.
Right? I don't. Alright. So I just showed you the video. You remember how fast the wind was? He's late. His fault. His this one. Why should I show him?
I was also not there.
Achha? What 2 videos were sleeping? You were sleeping? Yes. Okay. So if you've seen the wind was it's actually so strong, you see cyclones, right? It uproots the tree and all that. And this person, Prashant, had gone to visit his friends. And it is a village. From village to village he had to go. So it was actually 18 kilometers away his friends stayed. So he traveled there. And when he, it was supposed to be a festive occasion for them. And it turned out to be a tragedy. If you see the temples, the houses, the cement houses, you see the state of the people which I showed you just now. It was so devastating that how many villages were destroyed?
Many.
10,000.
10,000. And 10,000.
2,76,000. When I showed you the video, what you were sleeping.
2,76,000.
10,000 people were killed. But do you think that you were showing actually what has so many people? It will be more than that. Whenever the news show, they played out on the devastation. Because people have a tendency to panic, people have a tendency to react in a very adverse way. So they have a tendency of, if 2,76,000 villages were destroyed, do you think the amount of people only died will be 10,000? Maybe. We do not know. Okay. And now coming back to this, on 27th October 1999, 7 years after his mother's death, okay, Prashant had gone to the block headquarters of Ursama, a small town in coastal Orissa, some 18 kilometers from his village. So he hadn't gone, he never left his village, it seems. And after that, 7 years after his mother's passed away, he decided that I'll go and visit my friends. So he was 18 kilometers away from his village. To spend the day with a friend. And that's the day the disaster struck. Now imagine you have traveled for so far, and like these things, this devastation happens. Devastation, you know what is devastation, right? Disaster. You know disaster? Synonym of cancer. Disaster. Devastation is like when you lose everything. Whether it's your family, whether your home, your clothes, everything that is devastating. Okay. Remember when somebody close, when you lose somebody who's very close to you, that is devastating because it's like a shock. It's like it is like a this one. It's like you don't know what to do with your life currently without that person. You are so reliant on that person. And then it says in the evening, a dark and menacing storm. Menacing, threatening. Threatening, you know, na? Come let me write down the meaning. So you have to write menacing and threatening. Threatening, you know what is threatening, na? What is threatening? What is threatening?
And fear.
When you strike fear in somebody, it means you're threatening someone. Fear, डर, इसमें डर दिखा वो. हाँ, तो threatening, menacing storm quickly gathered. Okay, wind beat against the houses with the speed and fury. Fury is anger. Wait for me to just give you the answer. Fury that Prashant had never witnessed before. Anger, that first paragraph only. Fury, anger. Okay. That Prashant has never witnessed before. That means this for the first time ever he seen the storm hitting like this. They stay in the coastal area. Now, if you know coastal area, it is always like there are cyclones, there are storms like that, but they don't destroy that much, right? Cyclones have a tendency, but it doesn't destroy so massively. And this was the first time in his life he saw this storm. Heavy and incessant, continuous, without stopping, endless. The last line of the paragraph, first paragraph, last line. Incessant, that means not like continuous, without stopping. Filled with darkness, ancient trees. Why the word ancient? Why the word ancient? You know how old, ancient is old, but why the word old? Without stopping. Why the word is ancient trees?
Which is old.
They live for a very long time, right? There are strong trees that withstand all the things. So ancient trees were uprooted and crashed to the earth. So these trees, also the storm was so powerful that even these trees were literally uprooted and crashed to the earth. Yes.
Screams rent the air as people and houses were simply washed away. Tell me what a swirl into his friend's house, neck deep. The building was of brick and mortar and was strong enough to survive. The devastation of the wild winds, velocity of 2-3 km per hour. But the whole terror of the family grew with the crashing of trees that had got uprooted and fallen on their house, sometime in the middle of the night, damaging its roof and walls.
Now remember, scream, rent the air. What do you mean by that?
Scream.
What do you mean by that? Scream, rent the air. Okay. First line.
Do you view? Yes.
What do you mean by scream, rent the air?
God of heaven and
Huh? Right, it filled the air. Rent the air means filled the air, right? Rent means to fill the air. What happened is because the trees were falling, and the trees were actually falling on the top of the houses, and it was means crashing the cement house and everything was crashing. right? And they didn't expect because it was middle of the night. Who's these awake in the middle of the night, especially in villages. If you've been to villages, you know that by 8 o'clock, 8:30, they're all off to sleep. Now, in the middle of the night, the storm is hitting with such a ferocity that it is destroying everywhere. And then it's an unexpected thing. They didn't expect that. The storm doesn't say, hello, I'm coming, please be ready for me. It doesn't send an invitation, right? It arrives. So, steam when the air is fill the air as people in houses swiftly wash away. Washed away means the swan or the tides, the water waves was in because the wind was 350 kilometers per hour. You know what ice speed is 350 kilometers per hour. You know what? It actually with that the wind was flowing with that and imagine the tide, the water is literally hitting the land. Because the wind was carrying the water, so it was literally hitting the land. So the houses quickly washed with that angry water swirled into his hence house neck deep. Swirled? Swirled is this, right? But it actually, it entered the house and it was rotating like a tornado. How you do? It was rotating. Yeah. And he was neck high. He didn't get a chance to react also. The water filled so fast that the water was neck high. Okay. The building was of brick and mortar and was strong enough to survive the devastation of wind velocity of 350 kilometers per hour. But the cold terror of the family grew when the building crashing. So it was built of cement, like cement and bricks. So it is strong. Right? Even if the wind is hitting at 350 kilometers, it could sustain. But what about the trees? The trees came crashing into that. You know, it was carried, the trees, the uprooted trees were carried. And the crashing trees that had got uprooted falling on their house sometime in the middle of the night, damaging its roof and walls. So if there is no roof and wall, how can it control the wind? Right? A roof and a wall will stop the wind from entering your house. But if the roof only, the wall only is damaged, then the wind will enter your house. That's along with it, the speed of the water will enter your house.
The phase destruction wrought by the cyclone and the soul of the ocean continued to remain constantly or since
36 hours for 2 days it carried on.
although when it had reduced somewhat by the next morning to escape the water rising in the river. The sun participants company and taken
Refuge.
refuge again. Prashant will never forget this show. He had experienced at his first glimpse of the registration brought by the super soldier. In the great light of the early morning, a legendary brown sheet of water covered everything as far as the eye could see. Only fractured cement powder still stood in few places. Bloated men in
Animal carcasses.
animal carcasses and human corpses coated in every direction. All around, even more tree had fallen. The coconut tree had fallen, and on the roof of their house. This was a blessing in disguise, because the tender coconuts from the trees kept the bad sound from showering the several days that followed.
Okay. The crazed destruction. What about crazed? What do you mean like crazed? Crazy or maddening? Okay. Like you know how when we get mad, that basically the cyclone was like that. It was a craze. It was actually destroying everything in its way. Literally everything. Why do natural disasters happen? And cyclone is a natural disaster, isn't it? So, like you know, the rot is means the created, the way on its way destroyed everything. The cyclone. Okay, the crazy destruction brought by the cyclone and the surge of the ocean. Surge of the ocean, the rise. Surge means the rise. The rise of the ocean continued for the next 36 hours, non-stop. That's why the word incessant. That means
Odisha is the island.
please look into the map of Indian Sea. It is normally surrounded by water.
Odisha is a land.
Island,
But it is surrounded.
Water is.
It is surrounded by it is surrounded from
Only one part of Odisha is surrounded by water.
but one surrounded
Other three parts
are surrounded by land. Agree. But the water which is there, the villages near the water, cyclone.
Near the water.
That's the point. What I'm making is one part is still near the water, no? And it's near the ocean. So, okay, the
Bay of
ocean
Bengal.
continued for then Bay of Bengal. Next 36 hours, although wind speed had reduced somewhat by the morning. The morning, the wind speed is reduced, but the cyclone kept on going on. To escape the water rising in the house, Prashant and his friends family had taken refuge on the roof. Refuge. What do you mean by refuge?
Refuse means like to save their lives, they went to the room.
Yes, in order to protect themselves from the water, they went. That is called refuge. Okay,
Okay.
protect yourself from disaster.
I got from refugees.
Yeah, refugees like that. Yes. Prashant will never forget the shock he experienced at the first glimpse. He will never forget. You know, when you see devastation everywhere, and when you see the pictures with your own eyes, you will never ever forget. You have a problem with your ears. Then why are you putting the pen in your ear? So it was like when he went up on the roof and when he looked around, he saw only water surrounding. He saw dead bodies of animals. They were bloated. You know when they are bloated, when they die, the body bloats up. Air fills
Yes.
the same way of dead bodies of people, animals, trees, all trees, all this is floating. Look at this, listen. He will never forget the shock he experienced at his first glimpse when he saw, at his first sight of the devastation wrought by the super cyclone. Because it carried on, cyclone attack but doesn't carry on for 36 hours. Okay, that's why it was a super cyclone. It was in the grey light of the early morning. Grey light, the sun is just about to rise. It's grey, it's not bright. A raging, deadly brown sheet of water. Raging, deadly, because it is killing. If you see the water which is filled, it is killing people. So raging is angry. Okay. Brown sheet of water covered everything as far as the eye could see. If this, like how the ocean is, when you look at the ocean, you can't see an end. When you look into the sea, you can't see an end. The same way when you look from the roof, he's looking everywhere. He couldn't see anything but only brown water everywhere. Okay? And what he could see is fractured cement houses. Fractured is broken. Okay? Fractured, you break your hands, you break your legs, right? That's why when the houses fell in through, so it fractured. That's why the word fractured. Cement houses still stood in few places. Bloated animal carcasses, dead bodies. Carcasses are your dead bodies. Bloated animal carcasses and human corpses, dead bodies. Corpses are this one. So human corpses floated in every direction. So imagine you're standing here and everywhere you look are animals, dead bodies and human dead bodies. All round, even huge old trees had fallen. So all the trees had fallen. 2 coconut trees had fallen on the roof of the house. There were 2 coconut trees near the house and that fell on their house. This was a blessing. Why? Why was it a blessing?
Because the coconuts from the tree.
Correct. Now imagine you're surrounded by water, surrounded by dead bodies, surrounded by everything, but there's no land anywhere. You can't get down, there's no food, your clothes are destroyed, your utensils, nothing is there. Correct? So only thing with this coconut was there is on the tree. They and they were on the roof. So when the tree fell on the roof, the people to break the coconut and eat, and that's how they survived for several days. It's not one day, for several days. Because what happened, this devastation which took place, it destroyed many villages. So for help to arrive there, it will take many days. Because nearly 10,000 roads were destroyed. So how would you reach it? You use helicopter, but helicopter also, how will they locate people to drop food? How would they locate people? Don't do that. It's very irritating. Don't do that. Alright? So this was a blessing in disguise. That's why the word blessing in disguise. You know what the meaning of blessing in disguise, right? Like when you don't expect something and it happens, so that is a blessing in disguise. Okay? And because his tender coconuts from the tree kept the trapped family. Now they were trapped because either if you know to swim, then you can swim, but you will swim with the dead bodies. And secondly, there was no place to go from there, right? They had to wait for help to arrive. So it was from starving in several days that followed. Starving from being hungry. Starving is from being hungry. One your turn.
He encouraged himself.
Third.
He encouraged himself.
Huh?
For the next 2 days, Prashant sat huddled with his friends, family in the open of the rooftop. The frozen
They froze.
in the cold and incessant rain. The rainwater washed away Prashant's fear. The only thought that flashed through his mind was whether his family had survived the
Fury.
fury of the super cyclone. Was he
Believed.
believed once again.
Okay. 2 days he sat huddled. Huddled is like this because why? The rain was raining continuously. No, it was raining continuously, and because of the rain, they were getting wet because they didn't have any protection, right? Even his he couldn't express himself because the tears also were like in the rain where you see tears because the rainwater and the tears were the sun. So it was Prashant had huddled with his friends, family, the open on the rooftop. So they're on the roof, on the terrace, right? Rooftop is a terrace, and they're sitting there. They don't have any place to go. They froze in the cold and incessant rain. Cold because rainwater is cold, and incessant, continuous without stopping. The rainwater washed away Prashant's fears. So he was feeling so helpless. When everything is destroyed in your family, every single thing is destroyed, and you don't even have a roof over your head, you feel that. And he was also worried about his family. He said the only thought that flashed through his mind was whether his family had survived the fury of the super cyclone. Remember, he's 18 kilometers away from the house. So his family is far away, and he's wondering, is our family alive or dead? No. So that's why the word believed once again. Remember, he's lost his mother 7 years ago. So he thought, will I lose somebody more, some other family member who was near to me? Will some other family member die? Okay, because the storm killed so many people, right? So he didn't know because he's in a friend's house. So he doesn't know whether he with his family. This is actually a real story. Then I showed you that was a real story, na? ये सब real story है.
What is that comedian?
Read.
For next, the 2 days later, which seemed to Prashant like 2 years, the rain ceased and rainwater slowly began to recede. Prashant was determined to seek his family without further delay. But the situation was still dangerous, and his friends family pleaded with Prashant to stay back a little while longer. But Prashant knew he had to go.
So 2 days later, it like for him because it was very long because he wanted to find out about his family, right? And like when the rain ceased means stopped. Okay, ceased is stopped. and the rainwater slowly began to recede. Recede has become less and less. Okay? Recede is to become less and less. Prashant was determined to seek out his family without further delay. So it means he said, I'm going back to my family, seek out, means to find, to search. He was ready, he wanted to search for his family after the water started receding. He didn't want to stop for anything. The situation was still dangerous because remember, there was water surrounding. Though the water was receding, there are some places which are going to be deep and some places which are going to be shallow. So how are you going to wade through? The water is all on the land.
Yes.
So, his friends family pleaded, they requested him, they asked him, don't go. Then Prashant was determined to find his family. Okay?
That makes sense.
The experiment itself is a long story. And it started out with 18 kilometers expedition.
Expedition.
After the village through the solar flood, it was a journey when you would never forget. He constantly had to use this thing to locate the need to determine where the water was most shallow. Hiding places it was waist deep and progress was slow. At several points, he lost the road and had to swim. After some distance, he was relieved to find the existing friends of his uncle, who were also returning to their village. They decided to move ahead together.
Yeah, so what happened is he had to take a long study stage. Study means
Sorry, man, this very
Long.
state which is not great.
study means another word for hard,
Hard condition.
I'm good for
Solid.
Quality question.
strong,
Alright.
strong. What you said is correct, it will not break. Sturdy, strong. Okay. And then started his by expedition. Why expedition? To go for an
It
expedition.
was search for like the family and expedition means when you search for an
Correct. So it was a search for his family. Back to his village through the swollen flood water. Look at the adjective used, swollen flood water. Swollen, your feet get swollen when you get hurt. You get ligament tear or something or sweet swells. The same way the flood water was swollen. What do you mean by that?
The bodies were
Is there a body? Swollen flood water. The description of how the water was. Water is normally in the ocean, it's not on the land, and it's like literally filled the land. Some parts of it was shallow, some parts of it was deep. Understood? It was a journey he would never forget. If he just tells, imagine this child who is going towards his village to find out whether his family is dead and alive. And then he's seeing this journey, throughout the journey, he's seen so many things he will never forget. If you play with a pen, I will clearly make you go out. Both of you.
खेला करोगे ना खेल
As I said, no. He constantly had to use his stick to locate. Now, as I said, 10,000 roads were destroyed. So, in order to find the road, when your water is in Bombay, it happens, right? We don't know where the manhole is, right? Manhole, gutter. Remember, sometimes the water fills up to the car. So much water. Have you seen? In Bombay, it fills like that. Don't do it. Keep that on the. Okay, so it is like that. You couldn't find the road because the water is so dirty and muddy. It's filled with earth, right? So you can't even see where the road is. So you have to take the stick and you have to just find your way, find the road. And to determine where the water was most shallow. Shallow is
something which is not the
less. Shallow is when you're talking about where the water is less.
water.
Opposite of shallow is deep. Okay. It at all places it was waist deep. Your waist is this much. It was waist deep. Imagine Prashant, you are Prashant. Imagine you're walking. Your water is up to your waist, and you're wading through it because it's water. Why will you do wading on water? There was not. You can't help it. You can't help it because if you're determined to find your family, you have to take the chance. Especially when everywhere you see water is spilled and you want to 80 kilometers away, you have to wade through the water. And progress was slow. At several points, he lost road and had to swim.
But where was the rescue?
The rescue operation doesn't arrive fast. You think they don't arrive quickly. It takes them time. You are living in a metropolitan city. We are talking about villages where they are far and far away from help. After some distance, he was relieved to find relief. What do I mean by relief? To feel relief. Relief is when you feel relief. Why was he relieved?
Because he saw his two friends of the son.
Correct. He saw two friends. He found somebody who he recognized, understood. So, and who were returning to the village, and they decided to move ahead together. So, means three people can support each other better than a single person. So, he found this person. These two persons, he felt really okay. Somebody is there with me who's returning back to the village, and can help me, and I can help them that way. Remember, because one of the themes which I said is helping others. In our sorrows, if we have a tendency to help others, we forget our own, we heal more. Next.
He endured himself with the ship. As they waded through the water, the seas they witnessed grew more and more
Macabre. What is macabre? E is silent. What is it?
I'm helping.
The situation was
Macabre.
dangerous.
Situation was horrible. As in, like, it's like it was burst because what happened in the water, all the women, children, men, their dead bodies, as the animals' dead bodies, and they had to initially he was on the roof, so it was surrounded him. Now he's wading through it, means he has to go through them. ऐसा नहीं है कि शायद आप गाड़ी में हो your waist length and all the dead bodies surrounding you and from here push them and go. You want to throw dead bodies on the road like that and you're pushing through the dead bodies. You're supposed to respect humans, right? I mean, even when they're dead. Correct. That's why the word macabre. Macabre is actually very, very horrible, very terrifying, very horrendous. He is doing that. As they waded through the waters, because he has the way water is waist length. How much you can swim? You have to find. Some places he swam, some places he walked. Read the sentence.
They had to push away many human bodies, men, women, children, and carnivores, or dogs, goats, and cattle that the current swept against them as they moved ahead. In every village that they passed, they could barely see a house standing. The sun now went out loud and long. He was sure that his family could not survive the
Yes, catastrophe. Okay. Now they waded to the water and seas. They witnessed grew more and more macabre. It's actually very horrible, horrendous. You couldn't understand what they were seeing. They had to push away many dead bodies of men, women, children, and carcasses of dogs. Carcasses, I've told you, dead bodies of dogs, goats, and cattle that the current swept away. So you're walking and the current, the water current is sweeping it next to your body. You're pushing it away, again the current is pushing it against your body.
Current?
As in the water current. Water has current, right? The waves, the water waves. And you just keep it pushing. And in every village they passed, they could barely see a house standing. So it means all the houses were destroyed. So they couldn't find a house basically. Every village they had passed, they are traveling for 80 kilometers. So every village they are passing, nothing was left. Prashant wept out loud and he was crying. He was crying loud and loud because he knew, he felt for sure that his family could not survive this catastrophe, this disaster. Catastrophe is another word for disaster, or destruction, or devastation. These are all synonyms. This tragedy. Catastrophe is also a tragedy. Yeah.
Eventually, Prashant reached his village Kalikuda.
This is the name of Prashant's village, Kalikuda.
His heart went cold. Where their home once stood, there were only remnants of its roof. Some of their belongings were caught, mangled, and twisted in the branches of trees just visible above the dark earth. Young Prashant decided to go to the Red Cross shelter to look for his family.
Yeah, so now what happens like this when you say the help, right? Red Cross is the one who arrives first in the place and they put camps. Understood? For these people who have faced their devastation, they put camps there. Camps, camp. Okay? So eventually when he reached his village Kalikuda, his heart went cold. Why? Because he saw his house, and what was of his house? Only the roof was remaining, and the clothes got entangled in the branches and they were torn. Mangled is basically torn and destroyed, and twisted in the branches of the tree, just visible above the dark water. So it was surrounded by water, and that. And young Prashant decided to go to the Red Cross shelter to look for his family. So that ultimately he decided I should go to the Red Cross because maybe my family is there. He didn't give up hope that maybe like I'll find a family or not.
Yes.
Keep two paragraphs there because that's so small for paragraph.
Among the first people we saw in the crowd was this naturally grandmother. Being with her, she read for the woman. Not after her eyes opened. It was a miracle. They had not given for them. The case was spread and his extended family gathered around him and hugged him tired and he confronted his family. His motley battled group, his brother and his sister, his uncle and aunt, they all seemed to be there.
Okay, the first thing, the first person we saw was his maternal grandmother. Maternal?
His grandmother.
Mother's mother.
Mother's mother.
Okay, paternal is mother's
My
mother.
name is mother's
Nani.
mother.
Bangle or Nani.
Ma'am, my nanny is there. Yeah.
So that is your maternal, and Dadi is your paternal.
Paternal.
Father's mother.
Paternal.
Yeah. So here, first thing he saw was his maternal grandmother. Okay. Weak with hunger. Now she's old. She's absolutely, when you have not eaten food for many days, what happens to your body? It becomes very weak. And she rushed to him, her hands outstretched like this, basically because she didn't expect him to be living. Okay. Her eyes brimming. Brimming is basically crying. It was filled with tears and she was crying. It was a miracle. They had long given up him for death. So they thought that he had died in the cyclone. Okay. Quickly word spread and his extended family gathered around him. So what is uncle, aunt, and brother, sister, everybody gathered around him. They hugged him tightly. Prashant anxiously scanned the motley battered group. Motley is different in appearance, in looks and all that. The motley is this, is written there. Okay? Battered is because they have suffered so much. They are absolutely battered. Remember? Your even sometimes your bags have that battered smell. This one, because the way you roughly use it, by the end of the year, it looks like a rag. Your school bags, they look like a battered this. So that way too. His brothers, sisters, uncles, and aunts, they all seem to be there. That means every single family member was accounted for. Okay.
Amazing.
Next morning, as we can see, around an understand.
Amazing.
Whoever's reading
Amazing.
By the next morning, as he took in the desperate situation in the shelter, he decided to get a grip over himself. He sensed a deadly
the
deep settling upon the 2,500 strong crowd in the shelter.
86 lives were lost.
86 lives were lost in the villages. All the 96 houses has been washed away. It was their fourth day at the shelter. So far, they had survived on green coconut, but they were too few to go around such a
Tumult,
tumult of people.
large crowd.
Son all of 19
Grand or now 19.
Alright, stop. By next morning, he took in the desperate situation of the shelter. Desperate,
Like very eagerly or
wanting. Desperate is that wanting kind of situation. He decided to get a grip over himself. He says, see, because devastation was everywhere. You can't always rely. Government will provide. Like he says, government will provide help. But you can't wait only for the government and you have to help yourself also, right? So that's the situation he he looked at the situation and decided to act. Because if you're just going to rely, oh, it's so much, so bad things have happened to me and it's not, you will never able to get out. You have to have the courage. You have to be the first one to react. Like people see in the accident how the people like videos instead of calling for the ambulance or taking them on, taking their car, taking them to that. That 1 minute, 2 minutes also saves life. But people in that, they enjoy life looking at that and they say, oh, somebody else will help them. That is the first thing, it always comes. They wait for the government, or government will come send help. Why? First, you learn to help yourself. So he took that desperate situation which was there. He looked around the village and he saw how desperate, what horrible the situation was. And then he says he decided to take a grip over himself. He decided that he should have a grip over his sadness, his grief. Okay. And then he sends a deadly grief settling over upon the 2,500 strong crowd in the shelter. Grief is sadness. And when you are immersed in sadness, you do not see any light around you. If you remember, because you become very depressed. Right? And to around 2,500 people, what we saw around them, they were grief stricken. Why? Because imagine you're losing your family, you're losing your house, you're losing your property, you're losing your clothes, you're losing your food. Nothing is available today. So they are, they said, oh God, what has happened? And they were actually so grief stricken. Grief is what, Parne? Grief is what? So at that, at 2,500 people, imagine the amount of house and amount of things which they have lost. No money, no food, no clothes, no house to keep them, to support them. You know that I will rebuild my house. But to rebuild a house also you require money. Right? They were grief stricken. 86 lives were lost in the village. So 86 people had died in his village. And all 96 houses, there were 96 houses in his village. All had been washed away. All had been destroyed. Because of the storm, everything was washed away. It was the fourth day at the shelter. Fourth day. 4 days hunger. Fourth day at the shelter. So far they survived on green coconuts. But they were too few to go around such a tumult of people. Around too few means there are 2,500 people and in that there were very few coconuts to share.
Definitely.
Yes.
Prashant, all of 19
And he's
years.
only 19-year-old child. Remember that. He's a 19-year-old boy. He's decided to do something.
Plane crash.
Prashant, all of 19 years, decided to step in as leader of his village. If
No one else did.
no one else did. He organized a group of youths and elders to jointly pressurize the merchant once again to part with its rights. This time, the delegation succeeded and returned him to territory,
Triumphantly.
wading through the receding waters, with food for the entire shelter. No one cared that the rice was already rotting. Branches from fallen trees were gathered to light a gluten and slow fire on which to cook the rice. For the first time in 4 days, survivors at the cyclone shelter were able to fill the valleys. His next task was to organize a team of youth volunteers in the sector of field during vomit and protein carcasses and to tend to the wounds and fractures of the many who have been injured.
Now look at this. Prashant, all 19 years old, decided to step in as a leader. Now there are elder people there. There is someone who is so sorrowful and they can't in their own grief they can't see further than that. Okay, so Prashant decided that somebody has to take the leadership role, and he decided that if nobody's coming up forward, then he will do it. And what did he do? Remember, there were hardly 10 coconuts left. So up till now, they're surviving on 10 coconuts. They had to do something. So what did he do? He or the similar age, youth are around 19, 20, 21, like that. So he called all the boys and elders, and he said he made a delegation, he made a group, and he decided to go to the merchant. Okay? To the merchant again and ask him to part with his rice means to give them rice. Okay. Then what is it? This time the delegation succeeded. Last time the merchant refused to give because he has to look after his family, right? So he didn't want to part with his rice, but this time he agreed. Okay, and they succeeded and they were triumphant. Triumphant means victorious. When you do victory, so that way. Wading through the receding water with the food for the entire day, then they carried these youths and these elders, they carried this food because there was water everywhere. Water was slowly getting lesser and lesser. They carried this food and no one cared that the rice had already been rotting. You know what happens? Water goes into the rice, it starts getting fungus and all that. And nobody bothered the rice had started rotting because they were so desperate. Branches from the fallen trees were gathered to light a reluctant and slow fire. Remember, the wood is very damp. It will not catch fire very easily. So, even when you are lighting the fire, for the wood to catch fire, it will not light faster. It will light very, very slowly. And on which to cook the rice. For the first time in 4 days, the survivors of the cyclone shelter were able to fill their bellies. Means they could eat food after 4 days. His next task was to organize a team of youth volunteers to clean up. Filth is dirt. Urine, you know what is urine. Vomit, you know what is vomit also. And floating carcasses. So he gathered the youth. He said, now we have to clean the shelter so that let's make it hygienic. So they took out all this, cleaned it properly, and to tend. And when those people who were injured because of the cyclone, then fractures were there was wounds. Wounds are your cuts and all that. He says, let's take care of them. So as a leader, he took first decision was to arrange food, second decision was to clean so that you have green environment, and third was to take care of the injured. Okay. Stop here, we'll do that in the next.
We take care of
17, so I'll come back on after 5 minutes.
22.
32, yeah.